Hey everybody, I'm Alex McClellan, and this is my brother and editor Mason.
There's a snake in my boot.
We're the Backtrack Brothers. Today's movie is Toy Story, initially released on November 22nd, 1995. This movie was the first feature-length CGI film and made $363 million in the box office. That does not include the insane amount of money made over the lifetime of the franchise between the films and the merchandise. Toy Story follows the tale of a cowboy doll named Woody, voiced by Tom Hanks, who is owned by a boy named Andy. Woody has his position as Andy's favorite toy challenged when Buzz Lightyear, a space cadet action figure, voiced by Tim Allen, enters the picture. Woody struggles to accept his demotion, while Buzz refuses to accept the reality that he's not a real space soldier. After accidentally getting separated from their owner, they're forced to work together to reunite with him. As I mentioned earlier, this was the first full-length CGI film. It truly shook the foundation of the movie industry. The visual effects may not be impressive now, but at the time they were revolutionary. The software used to create Toy Story is the same software they used for a lot of the visual effects with Liquid Metal and Terminator 2, who many consider to be one of the most visually stunning movies of its time. Though it isn't breathtaking, the visuals are certainly passable, and sometimes even impressive. There's a few points where lackluster animations will take you out of the moment, but for the most part, the effects are buttery smooth. That sponge-haired baby does live in my nightmares though. Ugh. Mason did note that he felt that the character models appear a bit greasy and flat, and I have to agree. There's not a lot of detail between human characters, especially. I'm pretty sure Andy and Sid have the same face and body, just have different hair and clothes. All that being said, my cherished childhood memories have little to do with the visuals and all to do with the story and the soundtrack. If you grew up in the 90s with this movie in your VHS collection, you spent a lot of time listening to Randy Newman. He may sound like a drunken sailor having a stroke while brushing his teeth, but god damn it, I get chills every time I hear, "You got a friend in me." At that moment, I'm 5 years old again, on a journey with Woody and Buzz to find our place in the world and have fun with our friends. That's an irreplaceable feeling for many 90s kids like me, as you can tell by the success of this franchise as a whole. Mason does not have the emotional attachment to this film that I do, and genuinely does not understand how Randy Newman ever made a cent by singing. When it comes to the story, it's a simple plot that's extremely relatable, the perfect mix for children and adults alike. The pacing is fantastic in this sub-90-minute flick. Within the first 10 minutes of this film, we have the characters, we have the setting, and we have the conflict. There is no chance for anyone to lose interest basically throughout this whole film. You're always engaged. I think that's part of why this franchise has withstood the test of time. They managed to entertain the audience from the second it starts all the way to the end credits, with very little gaps to get lost in your head or your phone. There are many relatable life lessons that are taught in Toy Story that we think people of all ages would benefit from hearing. Here are some examples. Don't judge others by their appearance, like Sid's toys. Learn to accept yourself and your place in the world, like Woody and Buzz. And be resourceful, like Sid, who Mason thought was creative in his treatment and use of his toys. I'm going to give Mason a chance to explain himself. Somehow.
Maybe he's just a kid with a dream, you know, even if he wants to be a serial killer. It's his passion. Well, if this kid wants to cut out toys and later just cut out humans, I mean, I don't see why not.
And now we know why Mason's never going to be a parent. The comedic writing throughout this film is effective, and most of the jokes land across all age ranges. They also don't really hide the adult jokes too much. Most notably the Mrs. Nesbit scene and how Bo Peep is craving Woody's wood. How much wood would a Bo Peep shuck if a Bo Peep shucked Woody's wood?
Come on, Alex, you're better than this.
Oh, come, shut up. Another strength of this movie is the voice acting. It's mostly carried on the shoulders of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, two of the most well-known actors, comedians, etc. of the 90s. Tom and Tim both portray the characters so believably and feed off each other in a way that carries the entire movie, which is kind of important because they're essentially the entire plot. I also wanted to highlight that I personally thought Sid was a great villain. We don't get villains like these anymore. Why don't we have villains that are evil just for the sake of being evil? We don't need a 20-minute backstory explaining why somebody is evil. He has no reason to be evil. He has a loving sister, he has a mom that makes hot Pop-Tarts for him, she leaves him alone and lets him do whatever the hell he wants. He has no reason to be a dick, he just is a dick. And to me, that's kind of refreshing. I'm giving Toy Story an 8 out of 10 in terms of hold-up-ability. The characters, story, lessons, everything, all of that is so heartwarming to me, and I think it holds up really well. The visuals aren't the best, and really that's the only thing that's knocking it down a couple points.
I feel as if it's a big distraction, and I'm always being disgusted by the looks of it. This is even more apparent when you look at Toy Story 2, which in just a few years later expands so much on every single aspect. I'm gonna have to give Toy Story a 6 out of 10 in hold-up-ability.